Poems about winter.
Sergei Asnin Porosha.
I'm coming. Quietly. Ringing sounds are heard under a hoof in the snow. Only the gray crows, they made a noise in the meadow. Enchanted by invisibility, the forest is dozing under the fairy tale of a dream. Like a white scarf, a pine tree has been tied. She bent over like an old lady, leaning on the stick, and under the very top of the head a woodpecker is pecking at a bitch. A horse is galloping, there is a lot of space. It's snowing and making a shawl. The endless road, it runs away like a ribbon into the distance.
Alexander Pushkin, winter morning, frost and sun, wonderful day.
Frost and sun, wonderful day. You are still dozing, dear friend, it's time, beauty, wake up, open your closed eyes towards northern aurora, be the star of the north. In the evening, do you remember, the blizzard was angry, there was darkness in the cloudy sky, the moon is like a pale spot through the dark clouds, it turned yellow, and you sat sad, and now, look out the window. Under blue skies, magnificent carpets, glistening in the sun, the snow lies, the transparent forest alone turns black, and the spruce turns green through the frost, and the river glitters under the ice. The whole room has an amber shine illuminated. Cheerful crackling, the flooded stove crackles. It's nice to think by the bed. But you know, shouldn't I tell you to get into the sleigh? Ban the brown filly? Sliding on the morning snow, dear friend, let's indulge in running impatient horse, and we'll visit the empty fields, the forests, recently so dense, and the shore, dear to me. Athanasius Fett, a wonderful picture.
A wonderful picture, how dear you are to me, the white plain, the full moon. The light of the high heavens, and the shiny snow, and the distant sleigh a lonely run.
Fyodor Tyutchev, winter is angry for a reason.
No wonder winter is angry, its time has passed, spring is knocking on the window and he drives him out of the yard. And everything started to fuss, everything forces winter to get out, and larks in the sky, the ringing bell has already been raised. Winter is still busy and he grumbles about spring. She laughs in her eyes and it just makes more noise. The evil witch went crazy and, capturing the snow, she let me in, running away, to a beautiful child. Spring and grief are not enough, washed my face in the snow and she only became blusher, against the enemy. Alexander Pushkin, Winter Road.
Through the wavy mists the moon is making its way, to the sad glades she pours a sad light. On a winter, boring road the three greyhounds are running, the bell is monotonous, it rattles tiresomely. Something native is being heard in the long songs of the driver, that debauchery is daring, that's heartache. No fire, no black hut, wilderness and snow, towards me only the versts are striped, they come across one. Boring, sad tomorrow, Nina, returning to my dear tomorrow, I'll forget myself by the fireplace, I'm looking at it without getting enough. The hour hand is sonorous, he will make his measuring circle, and, removing the annoying ones, midnight will not separate us. Sad, Nina, my path is boring, my driver fell asleep, the bell is monotonous, the moon's face is clouded.
Sergei Yesenin, You Are My Fallen Maple.
You are my fallen maple, icy maple, why are you standing, bent over, under a white snowstorm? Or what did you see? Or what did you hear? It's like you went out for a walk outside the village. And, like a drunken watchman, going out onto the road, he drowned in a snowdrift and froze his leg. Oh, and I myself have become somewhat unstable these days, I won't make it home from a friendly drinking party. There I met a willow, there I noticed a pine tree, I sang songs to them during the snowstorm about summer. I seemed to myself to be the same maple tree, only not fallen, but completely green. And, having lost modesty, having become stupefied, like someone else's wife, he hugged the birch tree.
Sergei Yesenin, The White Birch Tree Under My Window.
White birch under my window covered with snow, its defy nightly silver. On fluffy branches the brushes blossomed with a snowy border white fringe. And there is a birch tree in the sleepy silence, and the snowflakes are burning in the golden fire. And the dawn, lazily walking around, sprinkles branches new silver. Boris Pasternak, Christmas Star.
It was winter, the wind was blowing from the steppe, and it was cold for the baby in the den on the hillside. The breath of the ox warmed him. Pets, we stood in a cave, a warm haze floated over the manger. Shaking off the dust from the bed and millet grains, watched from the cliff shepherds wake up in the midnight distance. In the distance there was a field in the snow and a churchyard, fences, gravestones, shaft in a snowdrift, and the sky above the cemetery is full of stars. And nearby, unknown before, shy than a bowl at the gatehouse window, a star twinkled on the way to Bethlehem. She was burning like a haystack to the side from heaven and God, like the glow of arson, like a farm on fire and a fire on a threshing floor. She rose like a burning stack straw and hay in the middle of the whole universe, alarmed by this new star. The growing glow glowed above her, and it meant something, and 3 stargazers, they hurried to the call of unprecedented lights. They were followed by gifts on camels, and donkeys in harness, one small one, the other one was walking down the mountain in small steps. And a strange vision of the coming time, everything that came after, stood up in the distance. All the thoughts of centuries, all dreams, all worlds, all the future of galleries and museums, all the pranks of fairies, all the deeds of sorcerers, all the Christmas trees in the world, all the dreams of children. All the thrill of warm candles, all the chains, all the splendor of colored tinsel. The wind from the steppe blew angrier and more fiercely. All apples, all golden balls. Part of the pond was hidden by the tops of alder trees, but some of it was clearly visible from here through the nests of rooks and treetops. As donkeys and camels walked along the dam, the shepherds could see it clearly. "Let's go with everyone, let's worship the miracle," they said, wrapping their covers around them. The shuffling through the snow made it hot. Through a bright clearing with sheets of mica, barefoot footprints led behind the shack. On these traces, like on the flame of a cinder, the shepherds grumbled in the light of the star. The frosty night was like a fairy tale, and someone from a snowy ridge, all the time he was invisibly part of their ranks. The dogs wandered, looking around cautiously, and they huddled close to the shepherd and waited for trouble. Along the same road, through the same area, several angels walked in the midst of the crowd. Their incorporeal reality made him invisible, but the step left a footprint. A crowd of people was crowding around the stone. It was getting light. Cedar trunks appeared. "Who are you?" asked Maria. "We are a shepherd's tribe and ambassadors of heaven. We have come to praise you both. We can't do it all together. Wait at the entrance." In the midst of the gray, ash-like pre-dawn haze, drivers and sheep breeders trampled, pedestrians were arguing with the riders, at a hollowed-out watering hole camels brayed and donkeys kicked. It was getting light. Dawn is like specks of ash. The last stars were swept from the sky. And only the Magi from the countless rabble Mary let him into the hole in the rock. He slept, all shining, in an oak manger, like a ray of moonlight in the hollow of a hollow. They replaced his sheepskin coat, donkey lips and ox nostrils. We stood in the shadows, as if in the darkness of a stable, they whispered, barely finding words. Suddenly someone in the dark, a little to the left, he pushed the sorcerer away from the manger with his hand, and he looked back. From the threshold at the maiden, The Christmas star looked on like a guest.
Alexander Pushkin. Winter, the peasant, triumphant.
Winter, the peasant, triumphant, updates the path on the firewood. His horse, feeling the snow, trotting along somehow. The reins are fluffy blowing up, a dashing caravan is flying. The driver is sitting on a bench in a sheepskin coat, in a red sash. Here's a yard boy running around, putting a bug in the sled, transforming yourself into a horse. The minx has already frozen his finger. He is both hurt and amused, and his mother threatens him through the window. Vladimir Stepanov, ABC of the Seasons.
Winter. The road is white, white. Winter has come, winter has come. I wear a white hat, I breathe white air, my eyelashes a white coat and mittens. Can't tell me apart in the cold among the white birches. I'll freeze. And the squirrel in silence, suddenly he jumps into my arms.
December.
The branches of the birches are freezing. It's freezing cold in the morning. Well, the bear doesn't care. He has been sleeping in the den for a long time.
January.
Snowy hillocks in the forest and the ravines were covered with snow. The bunny jumped out of the hole, quiet, cold, white. February.
The formidable Vugavi walks in a snow cap up to the eyebrows. Even a wolf, a robber wolf, he got scared and fell silent. Sergei Yesenin, Winter Sings, Auk.
Winter sings, Auk, the shaggy forest cradles. The bell of the pine forest. All around with deep longing they are sailing to a distant country, grey clouds. And there's a snowstorm in the yard, it is covered with a silk carpet. But it's painfully cold. Sparrows are playful, like orphaned children, they huddled by the window. The little birds are cold, hungry, tired. And they huddle closer. And a blizzard with a furious roar knocks on the overhanging shutters and he gets angrier and angrier. Gentle birds are dozing under these whirlwinds of snow. By the frozen window, and they dream of a beautiful, the smile of the sun is clear, beautiful spring.
Afanasife, Mom, look from the window.
Mother, look from the window. You know, yesterday it was not for nothing that there was a cat wash your nose. There is no dirt, the whole yard is covered, it has brightened, it has turned white, apparently there is frost. Not prickly, light blue frost is hung along the branches, just take a look. Like someone too shabby fresh, white, plump cotton wool. I removed all the bushes. Now there will be no argument. Over the skids, and up the hill have fun running. Really, Mom? You won't refuse and you yourself will probably say, well, hurry up and go for a walk. Alexander Pushkin, winter evening, the storm covers the sky with mist.
The storm covers the sky with mist, whirlwinds of snow twisting. Then, like an animal, she howls, she'll cry like a child. That S on the dilapidated roof, suddenly the straw will make a noise, like a belated traveler. There will be a knock on our window. Our dilapidated shack and sad and dark. What are you, my old lady? Was she silent by the window? Or the storm howling you, my friend, are tired? Or are you dozing under the buzzing your spindle? Let's have a drink, good friend my poor youth, let's drink from grief. Where is the mug? It will be more fun for the heart. Sing me a song like a tid, she lived quietly across the sea. Sing me a song like a girl, I went to get water in the morning. The storm covers the sky with mist, whirlwinds of snow twisting. Then, like an animal, she howls, she'll cry like a child. Let's have a drink, good friend my poor youth, let's drink from grief. Where is the mug? It will be more fun for the heart.
Sergei Yesenin. Small woods, steppe and distance.
Small forest, the steppe and the distance. Moonlight to all ends. Suddenly they started crying again, spill bells. Unsightly road, yes, forever beloved, which I've traveled a lot, every Russian person. Oh, you sleigh, what a sleigh, the sounds of frozen aspen trees. My father is a peasant, well, I'm a peasant's son. I don't care about fame and the fact that I am a poet. This stunted area, I haven't seen you for many years. Anyone who has seen at least once this edge and this surface, that one on almost every birch tree, happy to kiss your foot. How can I not shed tears? If with a wreath and cold and ringing will be around to have fun the youth of Russian villages. A accordion, death is poison. No, from that under this howl more than one dashing glory disappeared through the grass.
Nikolai Nekrasov, Frost, Red Nose.
I dedicate it to my sister Anna Alexeyevna.
You reproached me again, that I have become friends with my muse. What are the concerns of the current day? And he obeyed his amusements. For everyday calculations and charms I would not part with my muse, but God knows if that gift has been extinguished, that you used to be friends with her. But the poet is not yet a brother to people, and his path is thorny and fragile. I knew how not to be afraid of slander. I wasn't concerned about them myself. But I knew whose it was in the darkness of the night, breaking my heart with sadness, and on whose chest they fell like lead, and to whom they poisoned their lives. And let them pass by. There were thunderstorms above me. I know whose prayers and tears the fatal arrow was withdrawn, and the time has passed. I'm tired, let me not be a fighter without reproach. But I was aware of my strength. I believed in many things deeply, and now it's time for me to die. That's not why we're going on the road. So that in a loving heart again to awaken a fatal alarm. My subdued muse, I am reluctant to caress myself. I'm singing the last song. For you, and I dedicate it to you. But it won't be any more fun. It will be much sadder than before, because the heart is darker and the future is even more hopeless. The storm is howling in the garden. The storm is breaking into the house. I'm afraid that it won't break the old oak tree that was planted by my father, and that willow tree that mother planted, this willow that you strangely connected with our fate, on which the sheets have faded the night the poor mother died. And the window is shaking and mottling. Chew, how big hailstones are jumping. Dear friend, you understood a long time ago, the stones alone don't cry here.
Part 1. The death of a peasant.
Savraska got stuck in half a snowdrift, 2 pairs of frozen bast shoes, yes. The corner of the matting of the covered coffin sticking out of the squalid firewood. An old woman with big mittens, Savraska came down to urge. Icicles on her eyelashes, from the cold, it must be assumed.
The poet's habitual thought, she's in a hurry to get ahead. Like a shroud, she is dressed in snow, the hut in the village stands. In the hut there is a calf in the basement, a dead man on a bench by the window. His stupid children are making noise, my wife is sobbing softly. Stitching with a nimble needle pieces of cloth on the shroud, like rain, charged for a long time, she sobs softly.
Fate had 3 heavy shares, and the first share, to marry a slave, the second is to be the mother of a slave's son, and the third is to obey a slave to the grave, and all these formidable shares lay down a woman of the Russian land. Centuries passed. Everything aspired to happiness. Everything in the world has changed several times. Only God forgot to change one thing, the harsh fate of a peasant woman. And we all agree that the type was shredded, a beautiful and powerful Slavic woman. A random victim of fate. You suffered deafly, invisibly, you were the light of a bloody struggle, and she did not entrust her complaints. But you will tell them to me, my friend. You've known me since childhood. You're all fright incarnate. You're all age, old languor. He didn't carry a heart in his chest, who has not shed tears over you.
However, we are talking about a peasant woman. We started it to say, what is the type of majestic Slavic woman? It is possible to find it now. There are women in Russian villages with the calm gravity of the faces, with beautiful strength in his movements, with the gait, with the look of queens. Wouldn't a blind man notice them, and the sighted one says about them, "It will pass, as if the sun will shine." If he looks at it, he will give it to you with a ruble. They are going the same way. What kind of all our people are coming, but the filth of the surroundings is squalid. It doesn't seem to stick to them. Blooms. Beauty, the world is a wonder, blush, slim, tall, she is beautiful in all kinds of clothes, she's good at all kinds of work. Both hunger and cold endure, always patient, even. I've seen her squint. What a wave, then the mop is ready. The handkerchief on her ear was lost, the scythes are about to fall. Some guy got away with it. And he threw them up, the fool. Heavy blonde braids, they fell on his swarthy chest, they covered her bare feet, they prevent the peasant woman from taking a look. She pushed them away with her hands. He looks at the guy angrily. The face is majestic, as in a frame, it burns with embarrassment and anger. He doesn't like idleness on weekdays. But you won't recognize her. How will a smile of fun go away from the face of the labor seal? Such a hearty laugh, and the songs and dances are like this, money can't buy it. Joy, the men repeat among themselves. Her horse won't catch her in the game, in trouble, he will not be afraid, he will save. The horse will stop at a gallop, he will enter the burning hut. Beautiful, even teeth, that she has large pearls, but strictly ruddy lips, they keep their beauty from people. She rarely smiles. She has no time to sharpen her nails, she won't dare to have a neighbor grab a pot to ask for. She does not feel sorry for the poor beggar, it's free to walk without work. There is a strict duty on her and the inner strength of the seal. Her consciousness is clear and strong, that all their salvation lies in work, and her work brings her reward. The family is not struggling in need. They always have a warm hut, bread is baked, kvass is delicious, the guys are healthy and well fed. There is an extra piece for the holiday. This woman is going to Mass in front of the whole family in front. A 2-year-old is sitting as if on a chair, the baby is on her chest.
A row of 6-year-old son, the elegant uterus leads. And this picture is to my heart, to all those who love the Russian people.
And you're a beauty devil. She was both agile and strong, but grief has dried you up, the wife of the sleeping Proclus. You're proud. You don't want to cry. You're getting stronger, but the canvas is coffin. Involuntarily you wet your tears, stitching with a nimble needle. Tear after tear falls on your quick hands. So the ear drops silently, the ripened grains are their own.
In the village, 4 miles away, at the church, where the wind is swaying storm-battered crosses, the old man chooses a place. He was tired, the work was difficult, and skill was needed here too. So that the cross can be seen from the road, so that the sun plays all around. His feet are in the snow up to his knees, in his hands is a spade and a crowbar. The hat is big and covered in frost, mustache, beard in silver. He stands motionless, thinking, an old man on a high hillock. I've made up my mind. Marked with a cross, where will the grave be dug? The cross dawned and began shoveling snow with a shovel. There were other techniques here. The cemetery is not like the fields. Crosses were coming out of the snow. The earth lay in crosses. Bending your old back, he dug hard for a long time, and yellow frozen clay immediately, a snowball covered it. A crow flew up to him, poked my nose, walked around. The earth rang like iron. The crow got away with nothing. The grave is gloriously ready. It wouldn't be for me to dig this hole. A word escaped the old one. I would not like to rest in it. Don't proclaim. The old man stumbled. The crowbar slipped out of his hands and he rolled into a white pit. The old man took it out with difficulty. Gone. Walking along the road. There is no sun, the moon has not risen. It's like the whole world is dying. Calm, snowball, half darkness.
In the ravine, by the river Jaundice, the old man caught up with his woman and he quietly asked the old woman, "Is the coffin a good one?" Her lips barely whispered in response to the old man, "Nothing." Then they were both silent, and the firewood was running so quietly, as if they were afraid of something. The village hasn't opened yet, and the fire flashes close by. The old woman crossed herself, the horse shied away. Without a hat, with bare feet, with a large pointed stake, Suddenly appeared in front of them an old acquaintance of the groin. Covered with a woman's shirt, the chains on it rang. The village fool knocked into the frosty ground with a stake. Then he mumbled sympathetically, he sighed and said, "It doesn't matter. He worked for you quite a lot, and your turn has come." Mother bought a coffin for her son. His father was digging a hole for him. His wife sewed a shroud for him. I gave you a job all at once. He mumbled again, and without purpose the fool ran into space. The chains rang dejectedly, and her bare calves glistened, and the staff was scribbling in the snow.
The roof was left at the house. They took me to spend the night with a neighbor, Masha and Grisha, who have fallen asleep, and they began to dress up their son. Slow, important, severe, a sad case was being conducted. No unnecessary words were said, no tears were given out. Fell asleep, worked up a sweat. I fell asleep after working on the ground. He lies there, not involved in the care, on a white pine table. He lies motionless, stern, with a burning candle in their heads, in a wide canvas shirt and in fake new bast shoes. Big, calloused hands, who have done a lot of work, beautiful, alien face, and a beard up to the arms.
While the dead man was being dressed up, they didn't give out a word of longing, and they only avoided looking poor people look into each other's eyes. But now the matter is over, there is no need to fight the longing, and what was boiling in my soul, it flowed from the mouth like a river. It's not the wind that's buzzing on the grass, it's not the wedding train that's rattling, the relatives of the Prokla howled, the family is voting on the label. You are our blue-winged darling. Where did you fly away from us? Good looks, height and strength, you had no equal in the village. You were a counselor to your parents, you were a field worker, a hospitable and welcoming guest, you loved your wife and children. Why haven't you walked around the world enough? Why did you leave us, dear? Did you think of this little thought? I've changed my mind with the damp earth. They changed my mind, but we have to stay, he ordered the world. Orphans, do not wash with fresh water, with tears that burn us. The old woman will die from a steep slope, neither will your father live, a birch tree in a forest without a top, a housewife without a husband in the house. You don't feel sorry for her, poor thing, you don't feel sorry for the children. Get up. From the strip of his reserve you'll harvest in the summer. Squeeze, darling, with your hands, take a look with a hawk's eye, shake your silk curls, dissolve the sugar mouths. For joy, we would cook in honey, and intoxicating braga, they would have put you at the table, eat, welcome, dear. But on the contrary, they would. The breadwinner, the reliability of the family, They wouldn't take their eyes off you, they would catch your speeches.
To these sobs and moans the neighbors came in droves. Putting a candle by the icon, they made prostrations to the ground and they walked silently home. Others took over. But now the crowd has dispersed. My family sat down for dinner, cabbage and kvass with bread. The old man is useless, he did not let himself be mastered. Getting closer to the splinter, he was picking at his skinny paws. Sighing long and loudly, the old woman lay down on the stove, and Daria, a young widow, I went to check on the guys. All night, standing by the candle, the sexton read over the deceased, and echoed him from behind the stove the shrill whistle of a cricket.
The snowstorm howled sternly and she threw snow at the window. The sun was rising cheerlessly. That morning, the witness was it's a sad picture. Savraska, harnessed to a sleigh, he stood dejectedly at the gate. No unnecessary speeches, no sobbing. The dead man was carried out by the people. Well, touch it, Savrasushka. Touch it. Pull the straps tighter. You have served the master a lot. Serve for the last time. In the commercial village of Chistopoli, he bought you as a sucker. He raised you in freedom, and you came out a good horse. I tried to be friendly with the owner. I was saving bread for the winter. In the herd, the child was given. He ate grass and chaff, and he held the body pretty well. When did the work end and the frost bound the earth? Did you go with the owner from home-made feed to haulage? I got a lot here too. Did you carry heavy luggage? In a violent storm, it happened, exhausted. You lose your way. Visible on the sides of your sunken there is more than one whip band, but in the courtyards of the inns you've eaten plenty of oats. Did you hear on January nights blizzards a piercing howl and the wolf's burning eyes? I saw it on the edge of the forest. You will shiver, you will suffer fear, and there, and again nothing. Yes, the owner must have made a mistake. Winter has finished him off. It happened in a deep snowdrift. He will stand for half a day, then in the heat, then in the chills, 3 days of walking behind a cart. The dead man was in a hurry for the deadline to deliver the goods to the place. Delivered, returned home, there is no voice, there is a fire in the body. The old woman doused him with water from 9 spindles and she took me to a hot bath. No, he didn't get better. Then the fortune tellers were called, and they drink, and whisper, and rub. Everything is bad. It was passed through 3 times through a sweaty yoke. They lowered the birthmark into the depths. They put a roost under the chicken. He submitted to everything like a pigeon, but it's bad. He doesn't drink or eat. Also put it under the bear, so that he could stretch his bones. The Walker Sergachevsky Fedya. What happened here was suggested. But Daria, the patient's mistress, she chased the counselor away. To try other means the woman conceived, and in the night, she went to a remote monastery, about 10 versts from the village, wherein a certain icon revealed the healing power was there. She went and returned with the icon. The patient was already speechless, dressed as in a coffin, received communion. He saw his wife and groaned. And he died.
Savrasushka, touch it, pull the straps tighter. You have served the master a lot, serve for the last time. Shoo, 2 funeral blows. The priests are waiting. Go. A murdered, mournful couple. The mother and father walked in front. The guys with the dead man are both. They sat there, not daring to cry, and, ruling Savraska, at the coffin with the reins of their poor mother. She was walking. Her eyes were sunken, and he was no whiter than her cheeks worn by her as a sign of sadness, a handkerchief made of white canvas. For Daria, neighbors, a sparse crowd was trudging along, saying that the Proclus children now fate is unenviable. That Daria's work will arrive, that her dark days are waiting for her. There will be no one to pity her, according to them they decided.
As usual, they lowered into the pit, covered the Proclus with earth. They cried and howled loudly. The family was pitied, honored lavish praise on the deceased. The headman himself, Sidor Ivanovich, the women howled in an undertone, and peace be upon you, Procol Sevastianich. He said you were complacent. I lived honestly and most importantly, on time. How God helped you out. I paid the gentleman dues, and I presented it to the Tsar. Having spent the stock of eloquence, the venerable man grunted, "Yes, that's human life." He added it and put on his hat. I fell down, and that was in force. We will fall, we will not pass. They also crossed themselves to the grave, and with God we went home. Tall, grey-haired, gaunt, hatless, motionless, mute, like a monument. Grandpa is old. I was standing on my own grave. Then the old bearded man, he moved quietly along it, leveling the ground with a shovel under the screams of his old woman. When did you leave your son? He and a woman entered the village. Like drunks, the Krachina is shaking. Look at that, Ash, the people said.
And Daria returned home, clean up, feed the children. How the hut was awakened, in a hurry to flood the oven. And lo and behold, not a log of firewood. The poor mother thought, she feels sorry for the kids. I would like to pet them. Yes, there is no time for caresses. Their widow took them to a neighbor, and immediately on the same Savraska, I went to the forest for firewood.
Nikolai Nekrasov, Frost, Red Nose.
Part 2. Frost, Red Nose.
It's frosty. The plains are white under the snow, the forest ahead is blackening. Savraska trudges, neither walking nor running. You won't meet a soul on the way. How quiet. A voice was heard in the village, it's like there's a buzzing in my ear. Oh tree root, stumbling runner, he knocks and squeals and scratches at his heart. There's no point in looking around, the plain glitters in diamonds. Daria's eyes filled with tears, the sun must be blinding them.
It was quiet in the fields, but quieter in the forest, and it seemed brighter. The farther away the trees get higher and higher, and the shadows are longer and longer. Trees and sun and shadows and the dead grave piece. But wow, mournful penalties, a dull, crushing howl. Grief overpowered Daryushka, and the forest listened indifferently. How moans flowed in the open space, and the voice tore and trembled. And the sun, round and soulless, like the yellow eye of an owl, looked from heaven indifferently to the grave torment of a widow. And how many strings have broken in the poor peasant soul, remains hidden forever in the uninhabited wilderness of the forest. Great grief of the widow and mothers of small orphans, free birds overheard, but they didn't dare to give it to the people.
It is not the huntsman who trumpets the oak tree, cackling, daredevil having cried. He stabs and chops firewood for a young widow. Having cut it down, he throws it on the wood. I wish I could fill them quickly, and she hardly notices that tears keep pouring from my eyes. Another eyelash will fall off, and it will fall on the snow in a big way. It will reach the very ground. It will burn a deep hole. He will throw another one onto a tree. Look at the dye, and look, it will harden like a large pearl, white and round and dense. And she will shine on the eye. It will run like an arrow across your cheek, and the sun will play in it. Daria is in a hurry to get things done. No, he chops. He doesn't feel the cold. He doesn't hear that his legs are chilling, and, full of thoughts about her husband, calls him, speaks to him.
Darling, our beauty in the spring in a round dance again. Masha's friends will pick her up, and they will start swinging on their arms. They will start pumping, throw upwards, call me Poppy, shake off the poppy. Our whole body will turn red poppy flower. Masha with blue eyes, with a brown braid. Picking and laughing it will be. And you and I, we admire her, we will be, my beloved.
You died, you didn't live to live, died and buried in the ground. A person loves spring, the sun is burning brightly. The sun revived everything, God's beauties have been revealed. The plow field asked, the herbs are asking for sighs. I got up early, bitter, I didn't eat at home, I didn't take it with me. I plowed the arable land until nightfall, at night I riveted my braid, this morning I went to know. Stand tight, little legs. White hands, don't whine. One must keep up. It's annoying to be alone in the field. It's discouraging to be alone in the field. I'll start calling my dear. Did you plow the arable land well? Come out, darling, take a look. Was the hay removed dry? Did you sweep the haystacks straight? I was resting on a rake all hay days. There's no one to fix a woman's work. There is no one to teach a woman some sense. The little cattle began to go into the forest. Mother rye began to rush into the ear. God sent us a harvest. Nowadays straw is up to a man's chest. God sent us a harvest. May I not prolong your life whether you like it or not. Keep up on your own. The gadfly buzzes and bites. Mortal thirst languishes. The sun heats the sickle. The sun blinds my eyes. It burns your head, shoulders. My legs are burning. My little hands are burning, made from rye, as if from an oven. It also gives you warmth. My back aches with strain. My arms and legs hurt. Red, yellow circles, they stand before your eyes. Reap and reap quickly. You see the grain has flowed. Together things would be smoother. It would be more casual together. My dream was perfect, dear. Sleep before the rescue day. I fell asleep alone in the field afternoon, with sickle. I see that I'm falling down. Strength is a countless army. He waves his arms menacingly. His eyes sparkle menacingly. I thought I'd run away, yes. The legs did not listen. I started asking for help. I started screaming loudly. I hear the earth tremble. The first mother came running. The grasses are bursting, making noise. The children are rushing to see their beloved ones. Doesn't wave wildly without the wind. Windmill in a field with a wing. Brother goes and lies down. The father-in-law trudges along. Everyone came running. Only one friend my eyes did not see. I started calling him. You see, I'm getting overwhelmed. Strength is a countless army. He waves his arms menacingly. His eyes sparkle menacingly. Why aren't you going to help out? Then I looked around. God, what went where? What was wrong with me? There is no army here. These are not dashing people, not the Buserman army. These are ears of rye, filled with ripe grains. Come out to fight with me. They wave and make noise, are coming. Hands and face tickle. They themselves bend the straw under the sickle. They don't want to stand anymore. I began to reap quickly. I reap, and on my neck large grains are falling. It's like I'm standing under hail. It will leak overnight all our mother rye. Where are you, Prokol Sevastianich? Why aren't you going to help? My dream was perfect, dear. Now I will be the only one to reap. I will begin to reap without my dear one. Knit the sheaves tightly. Drop tares into sheaves. My tears are not pearls, tears of a grief-stricken widow. Why does the Lord need you? Why are you dear to him?
You are in debt. Winter nights, it's boring to sleep without a sweetheart. If only they didn't cry too much. I will begin to weave linen. I weave a lot of canvases, subtle good news. It will grow strong and dense. An affectionate son will grow up. It will be in our place, at least he's a groom. Get a guy a bride, we will send reliable matchmakers. I combed Grisha's curls myself. Blood and Milk is our firstborn son. Blood and Milk and the bride. Go. Bless the newlyweds at the end of the aisle. We have been waiting for this day like a holiday. Do you remember how Grisha began to walk? We talked all night long. How are we going to marry him? We started saving a little for the wedding. Here we are. Thank God. Choo, the bells are talking. The train has returned. Come forward quickly. Pa the bride, falcon groom. Sprinkle grains of grain on them. Shower the young with hops.
A herd wanders near the dark forest, tearing tusks in the forest for a shepherdess. A grey wolf emerges from the forest. Whose sheep will he carry away? Black cloud, thick, hangs right above our village. A thunder arrow will shoot out of the clouds. Whose house is she breaking into? Bad news is spreading among the people. The boys don't have long to walk freely. Recruitment coming soon. Our young man is a loner in the family. All of our children are Grisha and a daughter. Yes, our head is a thief, he will say. Worldly sentence. The kid will die for no reason. Get up, stand up for your dear son. No. You won't intercede. Your white hands have fallen, clear eyes closed forever. We are bitter orphans.
Didn't I pray to the Queen of Heaven? Was I lazy? At night alone, according to the wonderful icon, I didn't get scared. I went. The wind is noisy, blowing snowdrifts. There is no month, at least a ray. If you look at the sky, some coffins, chains, and weights come out of the clouds. Didn't I try to take care of him? Did I regret anything? I was afraid to tell him how I loved him. The night will have stars. Will it be brighter for us? The hare jumped out of the night. Bunny, Stop. Don't you dare cross my path. I drove off into the forest, thank God. By midnight it became worse. I hear evil spirits, she kicked and howled. She started screaming in the forest. What do I care about evil spirits? Forget me. To the most pure virgin I'm bringing an offering. I hear a horse neighing. I hear the wolves howling. I hear someone chasing me. Don't attack me, beast. Dashing man, don't touch our penny of labor is precious. He spent the summer working. I haven't seen the children in winter. I think about him at night. I didn't close my eyes. He's driving, he's chilling. And I, sad, from fibrous flax, as if his road is alien. I'm pulling the thread for a long time. My spindle jumps and spins. It hits the floor. The Proklushko walks on foot, crosses himself in a pothole. He harnesses himself to the cart on the hill. Summer after summer, winter after winter, this is how we got the treasury. Be merciful to the poor peasant, God. We give everything away. What about a penny? A copper penny? We made it through hard work.
All of you, forest path. The forest is over. By morning the golden star from God's heavens, suddenly she lost her grip and fell. The Lord blew on her. My heart trembled. I remembered what was on my mind then. How did the star roll? I remembered. Steel legs. I try to go, but I can't. I thought it was unlikely I will find Proclus alive. No. The Queen of Heaven will not allow it. A wonderful icon will give healing. I was overshadowed by the cross and she ran away. He has heroic strength. God be merciful. He will not die. Here is the monastery wall. The shadow is already reaching my head to the monastery gate. I bowed to the ground. I stood on my feet, and lo and behold, the raven sits on a gilded cross. My heart trembled again.
They kept me for a long time. The sister Schema Montris was buried that day. Matins was going on. Nuns walked quietly around the church, dressed in black robes. Only the deceased woman was in white, sleeping young, calm. He knows what will happen in heaven. I kissed you too, unworthy, your white pen. I looked into the face for a long time. You are younger, smarter, cuter than everyone else. You are like a white dove among sisters between gray, simple pigeons. The rosary beads turned black in my hands, written Oriole on the forehead, black cover on the coffin. The angels are so meek. Say, my killer wail, to God with holy lips, so that I don't stay a bitter widow with orphans. They carried the coffin in their arms to the grave. They buried her singing and crying.
The holy icon moved in peace. The sisters sang as they saw her off.
everyone attached themselves to her. The mistress was greatly honored. The old and the young quit their jobs, they followed her from the villages. The sick and wretched were brought to her. I know, mistress, I know. Many you dried a tear. Only you showed us no mercy. God, how much wood I chopped, you can't take it on a cart.
Having finished the usual business, I put firewood on the logs. I took the reins and wanted the widow sets off on the road. Yes, I thought about it again. Standing, she automatically took the axe and quietly, intermittently howling, I approached a tall pine tree. Her legs could barely hold her up. The soul is tired of longing. There has come a lull of sadness, involuntary and terrible peace. Standing under the pine tree, barely alive, without thinking, without moaning, without tears, there is deathly silence in the forest. The day is bright. The frost is getting stronger.
It is not the wind that rages over the forest. Streams did not run from the mountains, more as the voivode on patrol walks around his possessions. Looks to see if the snowstorm is good. The forest paths have been taken over, and are there any cracks, crevices, and is there any bare ground somewhere? Are the tops of the pines fluffy? Is the pattern on oak trees beautiful? And are the ice floes tightly bound in great and small waters? He walks through the trees, cracking on frozen water, and the bright sun plays in his shaggy beard. The path is everywhere for the sorcerer, Jew. The gray-haired man comes closer, and suddenly he found himself above her, over her head. Climbing up a large pine tree, hitting the branches with a club, and I'll delete it to myself, sings a boastful song.
Take a closer look, young lady, be bolder, what a Governor Moros is. It's unlikely that your boyfriend is stronger and it turned out better. Blizzards, snow and fog always submissive to the frost. I'll go to the sea, oceans, I will build palaces from ice. I'll think about it, the rivers are big, I'll hide you under oppression for a long time. I will build ice bridges, which ones the people will not build. Where are the fast, noisy waters recently flowed freely, pedestrians passed by today, the convoys with goods passed. I love in deep graves dressing the dead in frost, and freeze the blood in my veins, and the brain in my head is freezing. Woe to the unkind thief, to the fear of the rider and the horse, I love it in the evening start a chatter in the forest. Little women, blaming the devils, they run home quickly. And the drunk, and on horseback, and on foot it's even more fun to be fooled. Without chalk, I'll widen my whole face, and your nose will burn with fire, and I'll freeze my beard like that to the reins, even chop with an axe. I'm rich, I don't count the treasury, but goodness is not lacking. I'm taking away my kingdom in diamonds, pearls, silver. Come into my kingdom with me and be the queen in it. Let us reign gloriously in winter, and in the summer we will fall asleep deeply. Come in. I'll take a nap, warm you up, I'll take the palace to the blue one. And the governor stood over her swinging ice mace.
Are you warm, young lady? He shouts to her from a tall pine tree. It's warm, answers the widow. She herself is getting cold and trembling. Morosco went lower, swung the mace again, and he whispers to her more affectionately, more quietly, "Is it warm? Warm, golden." It's warm, but she's getting numb. Morosco touched her. The breath blows into her face and it sews prickly needles from the grey beard to her. And then he fell in front of her. "Is it warm?" he said again, and suddenly he turned to Proklushka, and he began to kiss her. In her mouth, in her eyes, and in her shoulders the grey-haired sorcerer kissed, and the same sweet speeches to her. "What dear one about the wedding," he whispered. And did she really like it? Listen to his sweet words. That Doriashka closed her eyes. She dropped the axe at her feet. The smile of a bitter widow plays on pale lips, fluffy and white eyelashes, frosty needles in the eyebrows.
Dressed in sparkling frost, standing there, she's getting cold, and she dreams of a hot summer. Not all the rye has been brought in yet. But it was compressed. It became easier for them. The men carried the sheaves, and Daria was digging potatoes from neighboring lanes near the river. Her mother-in-law is right there, old lady, worked. On a full-bag beautiful masher the frolic she sat with a carrot in her hand. The cart, creaking, drives up. Savraska looks at her people, and Proklushka strides along behind the cartload of sheaves of gold. God help! Where is Grushuka? The father said casually. In peas, said the old woman. Grushuka! The father shouted. He looked at the sky. Tea, isn't it early? I would like to drink. The hostess gets up and Proclus from a white jug he serves kvass to drink. Grushuka meanwhile responded, entangled in peas all around. The agile boy seemed a running green bush. He's running. He's running, little shooter. The grass is burning under your feet. Grashuka is as black as a little pebble. Only one head is white.